It's rainy and dark right now.
If you're just joining us and tuning in right now, we're joined live with the Swollen member, Madchild, and of course you're originally from Vancouver. So with the Grey Cup coming up in Vancouver, are you excited about the Lions being in the finals?
Anything that's good morale for my city, of course, I'm happy about. I'm not an avid sports fan. For some reason, I just can't get into it, but I guess I like to spend most of my time working on art and stuff. But of course, I'm happy if the home team has a chance of winning.
Now let's talk a little bit about you as an artist and your career. And you've had a very interesting career. You once slept on pizza boxes in San Francisco. You worked a lot of low-end jobs. How are you able to continue to carve out a music career and get your name out there as an artist when you were literally almost had next to nothing?
Yeah, well, I went from having next to nothing. When you're literally a starving artist, a hungry artist, that's artist in its purest form, right? So I had nothing but time on my hands to own my craft and own my skill and become, the best I could. Then we went to becoming very successful. So sort of from the years 2001 to 2006, it was literally working all the time, doing shows, festivals all the time. And yeah, we were making money, but there wasn't that really sort of free time to be, the best artist I could be. So I fell into a bad drug addiction from 2006 to 2010 where I lost everything. So I went from nothing to being a millionaire back to having nothing again. And now I'm sort of just at a place in my life where I feel like I'm reborn, starting all over again as an artist. And I eat, sleep, and breathe hip-hop and rap, and I write and record every day that I'm not on the road. So it's a really great time, and I feel like I'm the best I've ever been as far as my lyrical abilities. So it's a very exciting time for me. I'm blessed that I'm making a living again doing what I love to do. But, compared to where I was, I'm living very humbly and simply, but it's really humbled me as a person.
Now, obviously you're part of Swollen members, and you, like you mentioned earlier, you've had a lot of success with them in your early part of your career. Swollen members, from my understanding, was formed over a few drinks and food one night. Can you talk about the night you, Prevail, and Mocha Only sort of decided to form Swollen members?
It was a long time ago. I think we were just at Denny's joking around, thinking about a name, and we came up, Mocha Only thought of the name Swollen members, and we laughed and thought it was funny, but then we were like, you know what, as far as West Coast terms from the late 90s, that sort of meant like a fat crew, so we were like, you know what, that's a really dope name, it sounds fresh, and it'll definitely stick in people's minds, which it did, so we're happy with the way it turned out.
You were also a business person back in 1996, starting Battle Axe Records. How were you able to balance being an artist and being a business person almost at the same time?
Well, it's not an easy thing to balance. I was more of a businessman in sort of 2000 to 2005, where, I had a record company, Battle Axe Records. I had 11 employees. We were putting out lots of great artists, especially from the West Coast, and we were doing very well for myself. Unfortunately, the drug addiction sort of consumed my whole life from 2006 to 2010, which is where people wondering what happened to us. I was drooling on a couch for 4 years. But when I ran Battle Axe Records, of course I had help from great guys like Kyle Kraft, but when I ran Battle Axe Records and was an artist, yeah, you know what? It is a balance, and you sort of had to think, okay, I'll do business in the day and I'll work on music at night. But when you're one of the most successful rap groups in your country, you're also touring a lot. So that sort of throws three things in that take up, all your time. So it was tough. It not tough, but there definitely was no spare time. Let's put it that way.
You've also experienced, or you had experience, or your experience with Rocksteady Crew. How did that really help you going forward as an artist, just being a part of that crew and really, that was sort of in the earlier stages of your career, so really how did that help you go forward?
Well, I think just being part of Rocksteady Crew, especially at the time, was a huge honor. It would be at any time. Rocksteady Crew is, hip-hop. That's where it all came from. So being I always considered myself a hip-hop purist and we're fortunate enough that hip-hop is an actual culture with a style of dance, a style of art, a way of talking, a type of music we listen to, a way we dress. Those are the elements that create a full culture, whereas a lot of things that trends and fads that come along today and even back then are sort of subcultures. They don't have all the elements that it takes to take a culture, to make a culture. So becoming part of Rocksteady Crew was a big deal for me, and I was very proud. To this day, I still consider myself, down with the crew, and as far as helping my career, I mean, I don't know if it helped my career. I guess it gave us credibility, though, in the underground hip-hop world, absolutely. So I'd say as far as helping our career, I think it helped on an underground level, and it caught some attention from the media. So all these kind of things, they all add up, and they all help out, right? Any kind of things that happen that are positive things all add up, and it continues to help build the story, right?
For somebody who's from the East Coast like myself, what is the West Coast scene really all?
Where are you right now? Where are you?
We're out in Toronto right now, so this is where
Okay, you're in Toronto. Okay.
So for somebody who's from the Toronto area, doesn't really know much about the West Coast scene, heard a lot about it, but doesn't really know what it's all about, and you having been on the West Coast, you know it very well. What is it like, and how does it differ from the East Coast scene?
I don't know, man. Hip-hop is hip-hop. I never really tripped on it like that. I mean, kids in the East Coast back in the days wore Timberland boots and Carhartt, you know what I mean? And then from New York and stuff like that, and kids on the West Coast was wearing Dickies and T-shirts and Converse Chuck Taylors, from back in the day. I mean, I think it's more of a flavor. I don't think it's no different except for maybe a flavor in a style of the way you wear clothes. I mean, people think, oh, he sounds like an East Coast rapper, he sounds like a West Coast rapper. Maybe back in the day, but I mean, how are you going to tell me that, De La Soul was from the East Coast and not the West Coast? How are you going to tell me, I don't know, I guess that's always been a tough question for me. Like, Hieroglyphics and Freestyle Fellowship was like the main guys back in the late 90s, early 2000s to develop styles on the West Coast, but at that time, fresh things were happening on the East Coast as well, like Leaders of the New School, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, KMD, so many exciting things happening back then. I just never really understood what the whole East Coast, West Coast thing meant, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. And you've obviously
I think hip-hop is just worldwide, bro. Like, there's artists from Sweden, and there's artists from all over Europe that sound like American and Canadian groups. Like, I could play you groups that you would have no idea that were from a different continent. You know what I mean?
You've also worked with Prevail, and you have since the time Swollen Members was formed. What is that experience? What has that relationship been like with you throughout your career with Swollen Members?
Oh, those are my brothers. I mean, that's my family. We're recording right now, and the chorus I just wrote talks about like going to heaven and hell together, like we've been through it all, and our bond is even stronger than blood because we choose to stick together through the good and bad times. I mean, I put those guys' lives on hold for 4 years, bro, while I was addicted to oxys. And their livelihood depended on the success of our group. And our group wasn't doing shit from 2006 to 2010, but they stuck by my side. So when I say our bond is stronger than blood, family, you don't choose your family. That's your family, and that's the most important thing in your life. But when you have friends like Rob the Viking and Prevail that stick by your side through the good and bad times, that's real family because you choose to stick together. You don't have to stick together. You choose to stick together. So I consider them, I don't think the word friend or bro, that doesn't describe the guys in my group. It's like, it's as deep as you can get.
Can you talk about your writing style as well? I mean, I've heard a lot of your music, and it's very, very deep and very, very real on many levels. Can you talk about your writing style and sort of how you sit down and write songs?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like abstract sort of expressionism. It's like, in a way, we sort of took the concept of surrealism and put it into lyrics. like, I can sit there and tell you a whole story from A to B and make it real simple and easy for you to understand, or I can do it in an artistic way that comes from the heart and might sound strange at first, but if you listen to it over and over again, eventually you understand exactly what I mean. It's like sitting and looking at a painting. You can walk by a painting and look at it and say, yeah, that's cool, or you can sit and keep looking at it and keep looking at it and get new things from it every day, and I think that that's what the lyrics of Swollen Members do for our family and friends and fans. I think that we make it interesting, and I think that that's why Swollen Members is still here today and still prevailing as a group.
Now, speaking of prevailing, in 2001, you received the first of what would be 4 Juno Awards for Best Rap Recording. What did it feel like at the time to have won an award and have come literally from nothing, and to have received a pretty high honor in Canada?
I was watching the awards with my parents in their living room, and I would tell you, we jumped off the ceiling and hit the roof. We jumped off the couch and hit the ceiling. It was incredible. It was a surprise, and that's really sort of what sort of got the ball rolling for Swollen Members in Canada. Winning that Juno, the surprise element there. People didn't even know who we were on the East Coast, although we had a strong underground following and support system on the West Coast of Canada and throughout parts of the world. The East Coast hadn't really heard of much about us yet. So, in Montreal and stuff I remember doing a really good show out there back then, and Toronto too, but I think we were still underground, you know what I mean? So to get that mainstream notoriety, that really kicked things off for us. And then, of course, we won our second one again with Bad Dreams. Those 2 awards are really important to me because those were meant to be underground albums. You know what I mean? Those weren't meant to be, we weren't trying to accomplish any pop status, and we became a successful group on a mainstream level by making underground music, and I think that's what the magic was. There was times through our career where I think we were making music for the wrong reason, because we had people in our ears saying, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta make a song for the radio. We don't do that anymore. I've been through all those trials and tribulations. We make music for ourselves and for our fans, and if other people like it, cool. Like, we're good. We like where we're at. We want to stay underground. We're not trying to fucking climb our way back onto the radio. We're not trying to climb our way back onto the top 30 or whatever in this crap. We're good. Like, we're happy being independent. We make a living doing what we love to do. As long as we're filling shows and making our fans happy and our friends and family and ourselves happy with our music, that's really our goal today. If you can make a living doing what you love, that's a blessing, and we're completely content with that.
Speaking of trials and tribulation, and you've alluded to it a couple times in this interview, you did an interview with Baller Status back in...
I can't hear you, bro.
It's okay. You did an interview with Baller Status back in a couple years ago regarding your drug addiction, and how were the rest of the members really able to support you through your struggles in what was obviously the darkest period of your life?
Yeah, like I said, they stuck beside me, right? You know what I mean? They were there the whole time, and they waited it out and did the best they knew how, and they didn't really know what to do. I had to want to get off it myself. So they, like I said, that's what makes our bond so strong now, is that they stuck through me through those hard times. I don't really know what else to say. They just stuck by my side. They're true brothers, true family.
You mentioned in the article that you had a very high lifestyle with touring all the time, and you mentioned that when the touring ended, you didn't really almost. It sounds like you were almost bored, and that's when the addiction sort of started. Can you talk a little bit about how the addiction sort of came about?
Yeah, well, I think people with addictive personalities need to stay busy. And I was a workaholic, and I decided to take a year off. But when I took that year off in 2006, that's when I immersed myself into a party scene. I immersed myself into socializing, and let's just say the choices I made of who I hung around with back then was maybe not the right decision for me personally, nothing against them, but I put myself in a situation where going out every night and acting like a big shot and thinking we're a bunch of cool guys was more important to me at that time, and that was really the beginning of my end as far as, well, not my end, because now I'm back in full force, and thank God for that, but at the time, the things that I thought were important weren't important. and that eventually turned into a 20 Percocets a day, which eventually turned into 20 Oxycontins a day, and I was just a walking zombie. I'm straight up, bro. I'm lucky to be here. Like, I'm real fortunate to be here right now, and that, so now that I'm sober, 15 months, I just immersed myself back into working all the time, and I'm happiest when I'm creating and working and staying busy, and that's just the best way for me to be, right? You learn as you go.
Now, you are very supportive and outspoken about drug addiction, and what would you say has been the biggest life lesson that you really learned through that experience of going through what you went through?
Pardon me? Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, you're really outspoken about drug addiction, and you've mentioned in the article that you're more than happy to talk about it to fans, and you feel that it's really important to speak out about it. What would you say was the biggest lesson you learned, the biggest life lesson you learned, going through that experience of recovering as a drug addict and going through the pains of recovering?
Well, just basically, my biggest lesson I learned was to appreciate life in the moment. Before, I was just kind of going through things and not remembering stuff that was happening, and there was epic moments in our life that I don't even remember. So now I really sort of I used to take things with a grain of salt. Now I really stop and appreciate all the opportunities that come my way. It's very important to me to share information about Oxycontin and how kids can get off it. A lot of people don't know that you can go on a drug called Suboxone with your doctor helping you, and it makes things very easy to get off that drug compared to trying to get off the cold turkey. It's a terrible epidemic, Oxycontin. So I go to schools now and talk to kids about gang violence and drug addiction. I think, like I said, now, like, even getting to do an interview, that's a pretty cool thing that you want to talk to me because of the art that I create and my group creates. So I just take things, I think I just appreciate life more. I appreciate, every day that we live. Every day is a good day. You just got to look at it that way, bro.
Let's switch back to your music career a bit, and end the interview off on obviously more of a positive note. Now you're getting back into your career. So Swollen members, from my understanding, just released their latest album, Daggermouth, back in April. What would you say is the biggest difference between this album and albums from the past?
Well, we've come full circle. Daggermouth and Monsters in the Closet 2, which have also come out in the same year. It's just that classic signature Swollen members sound. So we've just come full circle. We've been through the ups and downs and realized that we don't want to listen to other people's opinions and business people telling us what we should do. We just make music for ourselves first, and then for our friends and family and fans. And so the difference is that it's the same again. Bad Dreams and Balance, you can put them right beside Monsters in the Closet 2 and Daggermouth, and it's just a continual, it's a continuation of the classic sort of Swollen member sound, and to me that's a very proud thing, something we are all very proud of, that we've kind of gone into left field a little bit in the past with previous projects where I think even we were scratching our heads at the outcome, but now we're back to just being ourselves, and it's just a natural thing. And I feel like not only are we continuing that sound, but we're progressing as we do it. We're making a new record right now called Beautiful Death Machine, and I'm just loving what we're doing. And also, it's an exciting time being a solo artist for the first time. We've only been a solo artist for just under, about 11, 12 months now. And although I'm a vet in hip-hop, and Swollen members are veterans in hip-hop, it's also a new experience, and I'm, in theory, a new artist as a solo artist. So it's really exciting for me to explore that kind of stuff creatively. We put out 3 EPs on iTunes. One is called King of Pain, one is called Band from America, and then one's the Madchild EP. I've put out a mixtape called Made, which stands for Misguided Angel Destroys Everything, where I rapped over all Madlib beats. And I'm going to be putting out my first solo album next year. I've got a new EP being put up before Christmas called Little Monsters 1997, which is a bunch of tracks that were released when we were making the Balance album that were never released. So we're excited to put that album out for the true fans. That'll come out on iTunes before Christmas, and then next year Swollen members will be coming out with Beautiful Death Machine. So we're just working there, having fun making music, doing shows. I just did 40 shows in the last 2 months. I just got off tour with Redman. I went on tour with Smack the Ripper. We're just keeping it moving, brother. Just having fun, being, enjoying the moment and being in the group.
Being a veteran in the music industry, which you are, you've seen the coming of social media. How has it really changed the industry today?
Oh, it's changed everything, but it's at the same time, it's all the same. You just have to adapt to the environment and change and progress with it. I mean, yeah, you can't buy CD, or for one thing that leaves the industry where an artist might count on that to make a living, new things arise. So it's like, before you'd sell CDs and do shows, and that would be your two sort of main ways of making a living. Now you have a bunch of different ways to make a living, that hopefully will add up to that same sort of thing where you're able to do what you love and still get by on it. But of course, we all knew things were going to change when music was a free download, and it makes it more of a grind, absolutely. But I think it also separates things from the pulpit. The people that are willing to continuously tour, continuously record, keep people hitting people over the head with quality music, not mediocre stuff. Those are the people that will prevail in these times. And I feel like we're up for the challenge, and we're succeeding at the challenge.
Well, Madchild, I really can't thank you enough for your time tonight to speak to you. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And